what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you're Diddy, it looks like the blues just got a little boxier. Let me tell you something. Judge Aaron is low-key hilarious, but also not playing around. Diddy tried to pull some theatrics, thinking he could sway things his way. But Judge Aaron said, not a day. That's right. He denied Diddy's request to serve time at his preferred facility. Baby, we need to talk about this because the judge basically said nope to all that Fort Dix comfort Diddy was hoping for. Now here's the wild part. The prosecution actually didn't object to Diddy going to Fort Dix. They were like, whatever, send him there if you want. But Judge Aaron stepped in like, well, guess what? I care. And that's when things got real. Word is Diddy's shaking in his boots because he thought Fort Dix would keep him protected. He had people there who could make life easy. But instead, he's headed to a New York City area facility that folks say is far from pleasant. Some even call it unbearable. So here's what went down. Judge Aaron basically said no to the comfort jail and kept his reasoning close to his chest. He issued a memo saying he won't recommend Fort Dix, only a New York area prison. And if Diddy wants something else, he better ask by October 10th. Now, Diddy claims he wanted to be close to family, but that doesn't quite add up. His mom's in Florida, his kids mostly live in Miami, and only 1 or 2 are in New York. So what's really going on? Some say it's about his connections, but others think those connections might not be too friendly anymore, especially since Diddy admitted he's been attacked and fears for his life. Sounds like the man who once bragged about uniting. Everyone might be finding out those alliances don't run as deep as he thought. Maybe that's what real accountability looks like. Like, I think Diddy really believed Fort Dix could guarantee his safety, but Judge Aaron clearly disagreed. He straight up denied that request and told Diddy he has until October 10th to pick another facility within the US, but Fort Dix off the table. Now, why was Diddy so determined to get into Fort Dix? Well, there's actually a reason for that. When you look into what inmates and people familiar with the prison system say, especially in Facebook groups or online forums, there are about 6 federal facilities where someone serving a 4-year sentence like Diddy's might end up. One of the top picks is Otisville Camp. If he qualified, that would have been ideal. It's minimum security, has dorm-style housing, a small population, solid food, religious services, and overall it's known as one of the safest and most comfortable prisons out there. But here's the catch. Space is extremely limited, and it's reserved for low-risk, nonviolent offenders. While Diddy might be considered low-risk, his case and public image make him far from nonviolent in the eyes of the system. So Otisville was off the table. That's why his team pushed for Fort Dix. It's also a low-security facility with a minimum security camp. It mostly houses nonviolent drug, financial, and fraud offenders. It's known for being safer than MDC Brooklyn. It has dorm-style housing, outdoor recreation, more freedom of movement, and an overall calmer environment. Plus, it's just 90 minutes from New York City, giving Diddy the perfect mix of safety, comfort, and proximity. Let's be real. Diddy probably wanted to stay close to New York to ensure his own protection. He's a high-profile inmate with money, and in prison, that can make you both powerful and vulnerable. Some folks say he could be targeted for extortion. After all, he's rich and famous. But whether the jail allows that kind of behavior or not, it's not unheard of behind bars. So in short, Diddy didn't just want Fort Dix for convenience. He wanted it for safety, control, and peace of mind. Otisville is classified as a medium security prison, which means it houses a broader mix of inmates. People describe it as low to medium risk, but it's typically meant for those serving longer sentences. And here's the thing. Inmates with longer bids often have less to lose. Their mindset is like, if I'm already doing 10 or 20 years, what's another year if I get into a fight? So while Otisville isn't chaotic like MDC Brooklyn, it still has a moderate level of violence. Plus, it's not exactly comfortable. These TUP include cells, more restrictions, and fewer programs. It's about an hour and a half from New York City, same as Fort Dix, but with far less freedom. Now, Fort Dix is a whole different story. People say it offers the best quality of life in the federal system, so much so that it's often called club fed. It's low security, dorm style, and feels more like a structured campus than a prison. That's exactly why Diddy wanted it. No traditional cells, more movement, and a physically and mentally easier environment. It's only 90 minutes from New York, which means family visits are realistic. And while Diddy doesn't have most of his family in New York, it's still within the 500-mile rule used to keep inmates relatively close to home. Other options aren't great either. Danbury, Connecticut used to be a possibility, but it's now a women-only facility. FCI Raybrook is medium security, higher risk, and located in a remote freezing area 5 hours from New York. Fewer visits, stricter routines, and less comfort. MDC Brooklyn, where Diddy's been held, isn't likely to remain his long-term spot now that he's sentenced. So when you look at it, Fort Dix was clearly the smart play. IT offers better programs including education, job training, and First Step Act credits that can reduce time served. That's why inmates with influence or means usually aim to get placed there. It's livable, safer, and provides a sense of normalcy compared to other facilities. For Diddy, Fort Dix wasn't just about comfort. It was about control, safety, and getting every advantage possible to make his time inside a little easier. In the Northeast, Fort Dix is often described as a camp-style experience compared to tougher federal prisons. It's known as the kind of place where you can quietly serve your time without constant violence or lockdowns. And here's the interesting part. Sometimes inmates specifically request a certain facility because they already know people there. It's not necessarily about favoritism, but about familiarity and safety. Having connections inside can make a big difference when it comes to support and protection. Fort Dix's large population makes those kinds of networks pretty common, which is likely why Diddy wanted to go there. He thought he was being strategic, but Judge Aaron saw right through it. Now let's talk about Judge Aaron for a second. Am I disappointed by the length of Diddy's sentence? Not really. Would I have liked it to be longer? Absolutely. But Judge Aaron is a man who sticks to the law. Heck knew if he pushed the sentence too far, it might get overturned on appeal. Even then, he handed Diddy a punishment that was already 10 months below the pre-sentencing recommendation, the lowest possible range, showing that he was fair, if not merciful. During the hearing, Diddy stood there pleading, saying, "Please, please, please, I'll do whatever the court says. I just want to go home." And honestly, Judge Aaron could have thrown the book at him, but didn't. Still, after showing leniency, Diddy's lawyers went outside the courthouse ranting like fools, calling the judge a 13th juror and claiming the decision was an abomination. That move didn't help their case one bit. So now, despite the prosecution being fine with Diddy going to Fort Dix, Judge Aaron said absolutely not. He gave Diddy until October 10th to pick another U.S. facility, or else he'll be assigned one in the New York area. Either way, Fort Dix, or as inmates call it, Club Fed, is off the table. And let's be real, Diddy has every reason to be nervous. High-profile inmates with money often face threats of extortion, bullying, and harsh treatment. He probably didn't see this coming. The denial, the longer stay, or the loss of control. Remember that crowd celebrating outside the courthouse thinking Diddy was walking free? Yeah, that didn't age well. Instead of heading home, he's heading into one of the roughest chapters of his life. And this time, there's no smooth talking his way out of it.